Hello everyone, I'm Mutsmarsh, the Eddie Van Halen geek. In this channel, I explain how I understand and apply the Eddie Van Halen technique. My guitar brain is 95% Eddie Van Halen. That's why I call my guitar style 5150 style after Eddie. I think there are some useful guitar techniques for beginners as well. So I'd be happy if you could take a look at it in your spare time. I hope you all enjoy it. This is the 9th installment of 5150 style. As a continuation of the 131 system, I will introduce a simplified version of the open type. A typical example of the open type 131 has already been shown in the previous video. Do you remember? Eruption, I'm the One, and Pleasure Dome are the best samples of open type 131. Next, I will explain the main topic of this issue, a simplified version of the 1-3 system. As you can see from the demonstration performance, the 1-3 system omits the final 1 in 1-3-1. This must be another kind of EVH roll. Technically, there is not much difference, but one less step increases the number of revolutions, so it must be applied properly according to the tune, tempo, and rhythm of the music. Eddie uses it in songs like this one, for example. All the phrases you just heard are based on the 7th fret pentatonic, so the key is either B or B minor. Eddie very often uses the EVH roll in 7th fret. It's a split-second decision whether to go with 1-3-1 or 1-3. Picking is up and down, once each. The rest is just a pulling off, so it shouldn't be too difficult. As on 1-3-1, Eddie's specialty is to use a bridge mute to give the song a drum-like nuance. The EVH roll is also important in terms of when to start rolling and the closing phrase. Next, I'll show you the 1-3 phrase that Eddie often does in the key of A. I learned this phrase from this video. How's that? Isn't it cool? Here's how it works. Before entering the EVH roll, first play the phrase of the pickup. This is the same as a pleasure dome. The reason I dare to avoid the B string is to make the melody match the key of A. Repeat twice quickly on the G string and high E string, then move on to the D string. Eddie's skill lies in the fact that it is not just a simple repetition of the EVH roll. Eddie likes to keep things simple, but he doesn't like phrases that are easy to spot. He makes it look complicated, but it's actually simple, and that's what makes Eddie's technique so interesting. It's the same with this one. It's so calculated that it's impressive. And finally, the phrase ends with the blues cliché, minor third, major third, and tonic. It is truly Eddie. EVH roll can also be used with 1-3-1 and 1-3 to make the phrase even more interesting. The pleasure dome. I already mentioned was actually a phrase that used 1-3-1 and 1-3 together. Listen to the pleasure dome in detail. It actually sounds like you are playing a lot more notes, but in the end I decided to organize it like the example. This way it is very easy to match the rhythm, and it is very comfortable in my hands. This is just my case, so each one of you should adopt your own interpretation. In the case of the pleasure dome, the rhythm is played with 2 16th notes plus half-beat triplets for 1-3-1 and 4 16th notes for 1-3. Note that the open string at the beginning of each unit is played so that it coincides with the head of the beat. A strong awareness of the open strings as the starting point of the unit is the essence of all EVH roll. Pleasure dome phrase is a great way to develop this sense. Finally, I would like to introduce one tremendous phrase as the final type of EVH roll.
Wait a minute. We must have got you people by surprise or something. Ready?
This is an act from the 1995 Balance Tour. It looks like he is playing casually on the spot, but the phrases are very dynamic, aren't they? How does one get to this level? A true Eddie the Genius. That's the only word that comes out of my mouth. When I first heard this performance, I was really surprised. I had never heard anything like it before. Of course, I transcription it immediately. As with the pleasure dome, slow playback makes it sound like you are playing more notes, but it is also true that in transcription, listening too much often does not produce very good results. In the end, I decided to interpret it like a musical score. I guess you could say I put it together within the limits of what I could play with my technique, but I interpreted it anyway. I think it is safe to say that the structure is roughly the same as the EVH roll in the pleasure dome, but I doubt it. But still, what is this sense of dynamism? I can only be impressed. Eddie is a bottomless genius who can improvise this instantly without deviating from the beat. Don't you think so? Anyway, this is the last type of EVH roll. It may seem a little harsh for an ordinary person to say that a technique is completed only when you can play this well, but it is important to have the nuances of this sound burned into your ears in order to raise your own level. I hope you will pursue it as far as you can. I hope so. Yes, that's all for this issue. How did it go? If you like it, please give us a high rating and subscribe to my channel. High ratings and channel subscriptions are my best motivation Best regards. I will continue to upload useful information for rock guitarists, so don't miss it. Again, what I show in the 5150 style video is just an example of how I understand and utilize the Eddie Van Halen technique. There are 10 different interpretations of the technique for every 10 people, so it's up to you how you use what you learn. It may sound contradictory to say this when I am in the position of posting videos on YouTube, but to be clear, the most important part of music and guitar cannot be learned from YouTube videos. It is important to be willing to use your ears to learn and to be generous with your time. It is very important to feel the nuance and feeling with your ears. Even if it is wrong, it is very important to spend time thinking, how is it played? And try this and that, and it is very important to spend that time. There are no shortcuts. That is why I want you to spend as much time as you can with the notes. That's what I think. The watchword is keep on rocking, right? See you soon. Bye-bye.